Hi guys, my name is Ali Swiden. My beat for the semester was racial discrimination in America, specifically within our criminal justice system. If you want to find any of the articles that I posted or any of the questions that I asked, my Twitter handle is SOUEIDAN629. That would be my last name, 629 on Twitter. Go ahead and give me a follow. The first thing I want to talk about is the current state of discrimination within our country, specifically the racial inequalities with black people in our criminal justice system. Right now, the current state is not so hot, and I'm not surprised. One of the first reasons is cops were created in this country to catch runaway slaves in the South. That's reason number one that I would believe you shouldn't be surprised that they're not so hot right now. Another reason they are not so hot right now and it's not doing so good is because Breonna Taylor's killers are still at large. 3 out of 4 of them still have their job. So if we were in a better place in the country, they would actually be reprimanded in some way, shape, or form for what they did. Another reason is voter suppression. It's a big deal right now. Black people are not getting their voice heard because their voice is being overshadowed by a larger white community where voter lines are drawn, unfortunately. Other reasons, Rayshard Brooks was actually killed for doing the right thing. He pulled over instead of driving while intoxicated. Unfortunately, he was in the wrong place, wrong time, and the cops decided to kill him for running away from them, unfortunately. So moving on here, some main stories, some main local stories that are relevant to me and making me believe why the current state is not so hot is on the night George Floyd died, a police officer was actually charged with a felony with intent to harm by harming 3 news reporters, clearly showing you that there's a real problem in this country. Even it's happening right here at home. Reason number 2 that I believe locally that we're not in such a hot spot is the white lady that we all saw on TV that held a gun to a black family and then called the cops on them. Because she knew if she called the cops, there was a high chance that the police officer was going to believe her over the black family, unfortunately. On a national level, some things that I think about as to why we're not in such a hot place with being equal and the criminal justice system being fair for everybody is 50 years ago, John Lewis took multiple beatings for taking a bus ride to the South. Fast forward over 50 years later, George Floyd gets suffocated to death with a knee to his throat from a police officer. So, I mean, how much better have we really done? Also, as I said earlier, none of Breonna Taylor's killers have even been arrested yet. Moving on here, Rayshard Brooks, the story that I'm sharing, I posted it. The author did a great job with the headline that he used. He appealed to emotion by the words that he was using. Also, one obstacle I believe that he would have had to deal with while he was going through the article was getting interviews from Rayshard Brooks' family. So I imagine that he probably used older interviews that were used with other people and used them inside of his article. One example of a really bad story I saw was online. I used the story because the content was really good, but the headline was, in my opinion, awful. There was 2 headlines, not only one, and the lead for the story was the 3rd or 4th paragraph, which was actually about halfway down the website. Moving on here, some experts that I believe are creditable. I put Jim Downs. He's a history professor. He provides a lot of relevance. He was also quoted by Charles Blow. So was Rebecca Edwards, who is an author and scholar. I also used Paul Howard. He explained what charges could be possible for the Rayshard Brooks killing. He's actually the DA on the case. I also included Raymond Arsenal, a civil rights historian, as well as Haydar, I hope I say his last name right, Wariak, who is a cardiologist in the city of Boston. I used him to show credibility that Black people are disproportionately at a disadvantage in our health system, the same way that they are in our criminal justice system. Some reporters that I use, my top 5 that I put in there were Shaun King. He runs the North Star. He is also has a large following on Instagram, so a lot of people listen to him. When he talks, people listen. Another person I use, I'm going to pull this a little bit closer so I can see them, Mark Lamont Hill. He is from BET, has a large following. He also keeps up with racial injustice as a beat throughout his life. I also put Eugene Robinson, who is from the Washington Post. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner in 2009. I added Nicole Hannah Jones, who goes by the name Ida Bay Wells on Twitter. She's from the New York Times, also a Pulitzer Prize winner in the year 2020. And she follows a civil rights beat for a living. And finally, my favorite, Charles Blow, from the New York Times. Love his stories. My personal favorite. I've used more articles from him over anyone else. I don't know if it's worth explaining why he's credible. It's Charles Blow, and you just need to know him if you don't. That's all I have for my beat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there is any other questions you have, feel free to email me at dx3121@wayne.edu. Thank you.